I've fallen down a very specific rabbit hole where basically I have been reading reviews like it's an addiction. I've been reading reviews from people from other countries. Okay, so they don't live in the US, but they come here from all over the world. And I have been reading their reviews of having Doritos for the first time. And y'all, I think we did crack again because when they come over here, it's people from France being like, I had one, my friend offered me one, and then when I looked down, I don't know how much time had passed, but there were 6 bags on the ground. And this is my thing, like, maybe what we are doing with Doritos is bad, you know what I mean? Because when you read the back of a bag of Doritos and you look at the ingredients, they all are words longer than what should be in food. If you read the back of a bag of Doritos, it looks like the recipe for meth, right? It's just a lot of propylene glycol sounding stuff and everything. So no wonder they come from around the world. They come from Europe, Asia. They get addicted and everything. It's sad to watch. It really is, because then they're in the review, they're like, I just ate so many and I couldn't stop. And then if you're reading it as an American, you like, yeah. Like, this isn't exactly news or anything, you know? If anything, that's on you for getting 6 of the little bags. You should have got a family-size bag. You know what I mean? If it's just you eating by yourself, you get the family-size bag. It is fiscally irresponsible what you're doing right now. Just getting 6 bags of the little ones like you gonna stop or something. You can't control yourself. You're in it now. You know? And sometimes I see them. Sometimes I see them over. I'm like, you know him. You know him when you see him because you can check the fingers, right? You know? Let me see your hands. And you see the hands like addicted. What a shame. Because no other country lets their companies do to the people what we let the companies do to us as far as ingredients. Like, we're like, man, it's very good. It's so good. It is good. It's not good for you, and it does have a taste that should not be in a human mouth. And I can tell that because people who have been alive for a long time are like, I've been eating forever, and I've never eaten anything like this before. It's taken me to a place I don't know if I want to go to. And you're reading them, and you're like, how is it this serious? But then you actually travel, because like I've traveled around the world and stuff, and I've been to some of these countries that talk about the Doritos, and I can tell they're going to get addicted. Because when I go there and I eat their food, I'm like, yeah, y'all missing quite a few flavors. Your palate isn't ready. And you can tell that because you'll go to like the Netherlands or something like that, and they'll be like, oh, no, don't eat what we make. Go to like a Turkish restaurant or something. If you eat what we make, you'll die. Like, don't do it. We make cardboard over here. Your stomach not ready for what we do over here. We just boil the water and eat it. Like, you know, but I was reading, there was one dude from Poland who was like, I don't know what to do with myself. He said, I'm reading it, I don't know what to do with myself. I've had every flavor multiple times. A friend gave me some at a party. They always started like that too. Like a friend gave me some while I was at a party. They started with that peer pressure type stuff. And that's how you can tell it's drugs for them. They're like, my friend introduced me to Doritos. I was young and innocent. Now I've been running up and down town trying different flavors and stuff. And this dude from Poland was basically, this is like on a Reddit post, and this dude was pretty much admitting that he was extending his stay in the States to spend more time with Doritos. He's like admitting to the open internet that he is overstaying his visa to eat as many Doritos as possible. He is risking ever being able to return to the country. I live in New York, and sometimes I'm walking down the street. Sometimes I walk from show to show instead of taking the train and stuff. And I was walking from one show to the other, and I was passing this bodega. And outside the bodega was a dude that was over here like, you know, just standing there, doing one of these and everything. And I don't know, I've lived in some bad neighborhoods, all right? And when you see this, you know their day isn't going well, right? This right here, if you walk up on somebody and they're doing this, you about to be asked for a favor, right? Like, these are not the movements of someone that's just gonna wish you a good day, right? It's like, you're about to hear a story when you see this. And so I'm walking by, and as I walk by, he's like, excuse me, sir. And I was like, oh, that's different. What's up? How you doing? He's like, I was just wondering if you could spare a dollar or two so I could get something to eat in there. And then I had a $5 bill in my pocket, so I handed it to him. He's like, oh, thank you so much. And to get some Doritos. It's like, I'm an enabler. I've been very excited to come to Dallas and spend time with you, make you laugh and everything. I love coming here because I grew up in Louisiana, and so we would come to Dallas a lot. Yeah, didn't tell you which part. And I would visit, Dallas sometimes growing up and stuff, and the thing that we're known for in Louisiana and in Texas is just amazing food. Right? Things that will change your life, things that you won't forget, amazing meals of every type, Like, we're known in Louisiana for a lot of the Creole stuff, jambalaya and gumbo, everything like that. And then in Texas, it's a lot of the barbecue, a lot of good meats and everything. And then you see people in other parts of the country that will start a whole restaurant pretending to do what y'all do here, right? Like pretending to be the same. And then you'll go there. You might even walk into a, real Texas barbecue restaurant in Pennsylvania. And you're nice, you're cordial, because you're good people. And you sit down and you have a couple bites, and then you're like, no. No. That was good. You tricked me. You got me to come in. That's good. I like what you did there. It's because you got the font right. You got the font on the... That's what got me. You got the print right on the awning. And, ooh, okay. Because this isn't Texas toast. This is fat bread. You did fat bread. You didn't do any... Oh, you won't get me again, but that's nice. That's nice. Got to give it to you. Wow. And that's the thing. Is that sometimes, you have food that people really believe in, but it is bad. It's just not good. Belief doesn't make a meal, right? And especially when I look online, it feels sometimes like we're lost, And I can tell that we're lost just because of what I see happening nonstop. Also online, because you have a forum, because people can comment, I see people say some of the most beautiful things and some of the most hateful things to each other that we know people wouldn't have the courage to say in person, right? Sometimes you're in person and maybe you want to tell someone how great you think they are, but you're worried about being embarrassed, so you keep it in or you just give them a thumbs up, whatever the thing is, right? But online, if you're never going to meet this person, you can really let them have it, one way or the other, good or bad, right? And so I've seen some really hateful comments that I know people wouldn't say if they were in person with the person, right? And when it comes to cooking TikToks, I think some of this hate doesn't go far enough. I think that it's important to really let the people know. You know what I mean? Because you watching whole nasty recipes be made and then people just commenting the vomit emoji. It's like, no. We need to get into their personality. We need to get into their upbringing. We need to get into why they thought this was a good idea. Because they love to do it. They love to make nasty food and then film themselves, no shame, film themselves making the nasty food that should be illegal. The police should be kicking the door open as we speak. And not only did you not keep this a secret, you filmed it. You did an edit, and then you put it out for the world to see. You self-incriminated for no reason. And all this nasty food is somehow world famous or it's Nana's. Stop putting bad food on your Nana. Don't do that. You know she didn't bring you up like that to be making this slop. You know that grandma is turning her grave right now knowing that you're putting stuff like that on her name. Because then the recipes don't make sense. They're like, you could use half a cup of sugar or salt, whichever. And it's like, that's a lunatic. That's an actual terrorist right there. That's wild that you're just telling people that. Why do you believe that? It's upsetting because then, back in the day, you know, this is what I'm told by my mom. This is what I was told by my grandma. You know, back in the day, if you had a recipe that was nasty, you couldn't just broadcast it to the world like that, the way the open internet has allowed us to. You had to poison people one at a time. You had to invite them over to your home. You had to say, come on, no, let me cook for you. And then you had to sit them down. And then they had to smell what was happening and decide to stay. It was a lot that went into feeding bad food to people back in the day. And then maybe if you got famous enough, you could have a cookbook. And then one of the cookbooks, maybe you falling off and nobody knows yet because they didn't make it themselves. But now, you see people, and the videos look good. Ingredients popping up on the screen, and then they pop off, and then they're chopped, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. But then you see them take a bite of it, and you can tell it's nasty because they only take one bite, and then the video ends. They don't serve it to anybody. Because you know you've been invited to someone's house that thought they could cook but couldn't. And then you took a bite. You're a good person. So you go ahead and you take a bite, and you know when you take that first bite, okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of this. I'm gonna have to figure out a way. If there's a dog nearby, but I'm not gonna swallow. No, you're not gonna get me. You take that first bite, and they're like, how you like her? Oh, you can tell you made something nasty if somebody take a bite and then can I be excused real quick? Where's your bathroom at? They just in that bathroom sweating, just like, what am I gonna do? It's a full plate. Oh, it's really horrible what people have done to each other. You know what I mean? It's just with a straight face, too. And now you got people broadcasting. Come with me while I make my Nana's world-famous mayonnaise grapes or whatever. And they don't even know there's anything wrong with it because, once again, they weren't brought up with sense. You know? The amount of times I've been brought over to someone's house, and look, if anyone goes to the trouble of cooking for me, I appreciate it. You took your money, you bought the ingredients, and maybe you messed it up, all right? Maybe that's what happened, but I still appreciate the effort, right? As long as I don't have to finish it, you know? Because the amount of times I've been invited to someone's house and been fed shepherd's pie. You can tell from your groans. Like, shepherd's pie is already on the line. Shepherd's pie is crip walking a tightrope of nasty, right? One false step and shepherd's pie has fallen into slop, all right? You can't just do whatever you want with shepherd's pie and make it delicious. That's not how the world works. And I have been fed shepherd's pies that make you go, maybe I don't know how to eat. Maybe I'm the one. You know what I mean? Because I'll bite into a shepherd's pie and they'll be like, what just cut my mouth? Because that's what I hate. If you invite me over, at least know you cook what you cooked. Know you can do the thing that you said you... Don't invite me over and then be like, you know, I just went ahead and threw out the cookbook on this one and just went with the flow. Not with my mouth. The amount of shepherd's pies I've had where I've been like, all right, how good of a friend are they? One time I got invited to a friend's house and he made shepherd's pie and he put he plated us, right? Gave us the bowls of shepherd's pie or whatever and then fed the dog at the same time. And the bowls looked the same, right? And so I was like, what did you do for this to look like this? There's shepherd's pie and then look, I'm gonna lose some of you, but we have to talk about it, all right? I've been invited to friends' houses before where they have served. I won't even say served. They subjected me to their version of pot pie. Pot pie is unacceptable, all right? Pot pie is absolutely insane. First of all, I knew I didn't have money growing up when my mom would take us to Walmart and we would go to the frozen section and she would grab that banquet pot pie, right? That red box of pot pie. In the only condition where a pot pie looks good is that picture. When they pull it out the oven and they do the slit and the steam coming up. And you don't even see. You see the steam and you see the crust of the pie. You don't see the slop that's happening below. You don't see the insanity that's having that hot sludge with peas and carrots and supposedly chicken. You're not seeing any of that. That's not chicken. I know chicken. Me and chickens are tight, right? I know chickens back and forth, left and right, and that is not chicken, okay? That's not chicken at all. I don't know what it is exactly, but it doesn't have the consistency. That's not chicken at all. Sitting there with a pot pie is disgusting, okay? I remember the first time my mama fed me a pot pie. Went, got it, put it in the oven, was telling me about it. Oh, I think you'll like it, everything. And then, she pulls it out of the oven. I remember my first bite of pot pie. I looked at my mama and said, Mama, I'm gonna work so we don't have to live like this. Like this, Mama, I'm gonna change our lives, okay? It won't be like this forever, all right? Because I know you doing your best. Pot pie, the hot sludge that is under the crust of pot pie. And then I had a friend try to argue with me about pot pie. He was like, no, the crust is the best part. Ooh, okay. Wait, if you think crust is the best part of the pot pie, I got good news for you. If you love the crust of a pot pie, I got a good word for you today. There's something called bread, all right? Oh, if you love the crust of a pot pie, wait until you meet bread. Bread, when bread comes into your life, it's gonna change. If you love the crust of a pot pie so much you're willing to endure a pot pie, then get ready to meet toast. You can have dry, crusty, delicious bread that has nothing to do with purple Greek sludge, whatever. Because that's the other thing. It's people's version of pot pie. So I've had pot pies that were just like the standard peas and carrots and chicken or a little bit of beef or whatever. But I've also had ones where they were like, I threw a little goat's cheese in there. I did. This is not up to interpretation. This thing is nasty through and through. Pot pie. Pot pie is white slave food, all right? This is the food of subjugation. This is the food of fiefdom, all right? Pot pie makes sense if this is the 1600s. We don't have to do this. We are Americans. People fly from around the world and overstay their visas to eat our crack Doritos. I've been watching so much news, which is depressing. It's like they don't tell you about the good stuff. You gotta go find the good stuff on your own. It does feel like, I'm not gonna speak for anybody here, but it feels like, for the most part, I think I feel the way a lot of people feel, which is a sort of disillusion with some of even the process of politics, because we've become accustomed, because we have more access to information than we've ever had, and because we at least see ourselves as more discerning than we've ever been, we feel like we can tell when someone is lying, right? And we've all known and accept that politicians lie. It's to the point now where we don't even really judge who we vote for off of who lied the most. We judge it off of like how many people accidentally told the truth. You know what I mean? Like you look down the ticket and you're like, he got caught in that hot mic. I like that. That was a good one. You know, and I get it. It sucks not just to be lied to, but to when you're lied to, you know, and when you figure it out, you see the manipulation that was at play. And if someone's trying to manipulate you, they don't respect you. They don't care about you. You know what I mean? Even when they say they're doing it for your own good, it's like some of the things, let me decide, right? So we don't like when our politicians lie to us, but I don't know if we really want them to tell the truth either. Imagine a local politician, or maybe your country's representative coming to you and just being like, no, we're it's bad. I don't think we can recover. This is beyond repair. Doesn't feel great because that sounds very true. I hope you're lying. Some people, offer up the truth even when they don't need to. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's a noble thing, and sometimes it's a very dumb thing. Sometimes it's just an odd thing. Like RFK told the truth this week about... I'll back up. In New York City, in Central Park, in 2014, there was a bear that was found in Central Park. They're not native. There was a bear that was found in Central Park next to a bicycle, right? And no one understood what happened. The police looked into it. The police couldn't figure it out. The internet sleuths couldn't put anything together. It was a genuine mystery, a decades-long mystery up until this week, when RFK Jr., for no reason, told the world, y'all, that was me. That was, I did do that one. So, RFK, as he tells the story, apparently him and his friends were going falconing. I don't know what falconing is. All I know is you took the word falcon and you made it a verb, right? I don't know if falconing means you hunt falcons or that you use falcons to hunt or you just talk to falcons. I don't know what y'all doing out there, but you put ing behind it so I know it involves the falcons, right? And RFK Jr. was on his way to go falconing, and he's on his way, and then he stops in the road because the person in front of him stopped because the woman in the car in front of him had hit a bear and killed it, right? And so RFK gets out and sees that she's killed this bear, and he's like, I'll take it. Which is interesting, right? That's probably one of the last things I would have guessed you'd say when you see a dead bear. And so he takes it, he puts it in his car, and then he goes falconing with his friends, and they're having a good time. I know we're talking about RFK, but for a split second, I want to focus on the woman that was driving, right? Because there are a few shocks that she had to get over within her day. One, you're driving. You're just a woman in the world living your life, and you're driving, and then something runs out on the road in front of you, and you hit it, right? And that is a car accident. Like, we can't forget, this person was in a car accident. Like, I hope she didn't have any injuries or anything. And just a near miss alone can be shocking. It can rattle you for like days or a long time. Depends on what happened. And so she hits this thing and has to get over the initial shock of almost being in what could have been a very bad car accident. And then she gets out and she's like, what did I hit? Was it a deer or something? It wasn't a deer. It was a bear, which is specific. I don't know anyone else it's happened to. And so you get out of the car and you're standing over this bear that you've just hit, and you're also, wow, I was almost in an accident, so I'm shocked, my heart is racing, it's sad, I've just killed this animal. And then RFK Jr. walks up to the other side of your car and stands over the bear with you and goes, I'll take it. Like you were selling it at a yard sale. And so RFK Jr. went falconing with his friends, and they were falconing for a while, apparently. According to him, they were having a great time. So I don't know if the birds were extra talkative that day, or I don't know what was happening. But they were like, you a falcon, you a falcon, you a falcon. And then the falcons, I guess, were like, blah, 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 like I don't know what noise they do. I don't know what they do. But, you know, he's over here falconing. And then they go to dinner, right? Where I'm sure they ate a different type of meat. And he's talking to his friends because the reason he took the bear was to skin it and eat the meat, which I didn't know was an option. I didn't know that bears were running around just big-ass chickens. I had no idea. And so, you know, he's talking to his friends and he's having a great time at dinner, and then he realizes, I actually have a flight. I can't keep this bear in my car. And apparently throughout the entire meal when he's talking to his friends about the bear being in his car, no one went, what? That never happened. Didn't occur at all. And maybe that's just how they roll as friends. Maybe RFK had a bear in the back and his friend was like, I got 2 giraffes. Like, and you know what it's like when you get 2 giraffes in the back of your car, they get all knotted up and everything. You gotta take them home and then unwrap them like some headphone cords, you know? And so then RFK decides that, you know, he obviously can't keep the bear in his car, and he has a flight and everything, and I guess no one else wanted the bear. And so he went to Central Park, and as a joke, this was like a prank that he was doing, he left the bear with a bicycle that he also had to get rid of. I don't know how big his vehicle is. How big is your vehicle that you got a bear in there and you have a bicycle at the same time? So then he leaves the bear and the bicycle in Central Park and then goes and has his flight and goes wherever. And the next day, no one really got the joke. Like, no one really... The next day, everyone was mostly confused. They were like, so... did someone hit the bear with a bike? Or was the bear riding a bike and then decided to die? Like, was the bear on a bike and then was like, this ain't for me? You know what I mean? And so no one knew, no one put it together, no one solved the mystery until now because RFK Jr. came clean. Because he was the only one that knew. The other reason that no one solved it until now is that the woman who, let's go back to her for just a quick second. I think the woman that hit the bear and then gave it to RFK or let him take it and then went about her life, you know, she also didn't come forward because I think the next day when she turned on the news and saw the bear in Central... she had to have been like, nah. There's no way. I like to think that from her perspective, she hits the bear, RFK takes it, she goes about her life, but then the next day, she thinks that RFK thought that he needed to make it look like an accident. Like...
He's the newest correspondent on The Daily Show. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Break down standing, everybody!
tell you what, though. I've been reading as much news as I can about it, and there's no way to be fully up to date because it's all still developing. But they really won't let us have or not have TikTok. There's so much conflicting news. I've never seen so many notifications on news. News notifications that say it maybe. No news is solidified. You know what I mean? Like, is TikTok banned or is it not? You know? Because it's like not right now. But it's not right now the way... TikTok feels like how I used to pay my light bill. Do you know what I mean? Because it be looming. I'm like, they gonna shut it off. I gotta get together, they gonna shut it off. All right. And then I call them up and be like, look, if I can get you $45 today, how much light will that get me? And like, well, your bill is past due. So past due is past due. We gotta shut it off as past due. And I'm like, but it would be less past due if it was $45 closer to not past due, right? And they're like, sir, it doesn't really work like that. I'm like, it works however you work it. Come on, I need to see. Because there was this looming ban, and then the Biden administration, which is wild. Both, at one point, Trump didn't want TikTok. Trump was like, I'm gonna ban TikTok. This is years ago, but he was like, I'm gonna ban TikTok. And then not much really happened with it. Then they actually like passed a bill under Biden where they were gonna ban TikTok. And then it was like looming for like months, and it felt like nobody was really talking about it. Not no one as in absolutely no one, but just like the news and stuff, there were other things to cover. And then it got close. And then it got to yesterday, and it was gone. And it was gone early. It was supposed to be this morning that they cut it off. And then last night they were like, let's be safe. And they shut it off. But when they shut it off, I was like, I don't know if they really needed to do that. We had 4 more hours here. I was looking at the way I look at my light bill. Like, if they had cut off my light early, I bet just because I don't have the money doesn't mean you got to take. Now you owe me 4 hours of light. That's 4 hours where I better see at night. We have so little faith in our government actioning anything that we were like, nah, it's probably not gonna get banned. Like they said that, but they say stuff. That's what they do. They just be talking all the time. You ever watch C-SPAN? That's just them talking. And then they talk, and then they're like, no, we promise you'll have health care eventually. And then we're like, well, it still hurt, and it's infected now. So I guarantee you they're not gonna ban it because I've been sick. Been sick, and they said they were gonna help me, and they still working on helping me, so there's no way they could do one thing before the other. They gotta help me with my sickness before they ban the app that, oh no, they did it. Okay, wow. It also comes down to what people use the apps for, because they all serve a different purpose. Lots of people have everything, by the way. Lots of people have all the platforms because they use them for different things. Even if they post the same thing on everything, they get different things out of it, like different feedback from the different communities that are on all the platforms, right? Because every platform has a different function. You go like Facebook. Facebook is like general life updates, but in like a major way. It's when paragraphs worth of stuff has happened to you. You know? And there's pictures too, but the pictures usually go along. Usually it's like somebody quit their job, so they post a picture of a sunset, and then they just talk about everything their job ever did wrong to anybody. Really air out the whole job in the post. Twitter is mostly for when you hate something. You mostly bring what you hate to Twitter to get other people mad about it. I've had good days, and then I accidentally opened Twitter, and then I got mad about a whole host of things that I've never thought I would be mad. I didn't even know it existed until I read about it on Twitter. I don't even know if it's real. It could be a lie, but I'm very angry. You know? It's so bad on Twitter that Elon Musk was like, we gotta start being more positive, y'all. The richest, trolliest troll of all time was getting lit up so hard. He was like, y'all, kindness is the way, though. Not like the more I live, the longer I live, the more I can tell that like positivity, that's the stuff. You know, Instagram is in an interesting place right now. I'm sure everybody has a different algorithm, but Instagram been a lot more butts lately for me. And all I really do is like look up pictures of Shiba Inus. And so I don't know where they're getting Shiba Inu and then just ass from that. But we are where we are. You know, Reddit is a huge platform that doesn't get enough credit for being like in the top 5 of like used platforms. You know? And on Reddit, that's where the secrets come out. You find out stuff on Reddit you didn't think was humanly possible. People will tell you stuff on Reddit that either happened to them or that they did, where you wish that there was. You know how people said for a long time Facebook wouldn't do anything about it? For a long time, everyone was using Facebook. So this was talking about like when I was in like high school, college, everybody was using Facebook, and they were like, why can you only like stuff? You should be able to dislike stuff. You should be able to, and they finally added all the emoji icons for the different reactions to a post. On Reddit, when I'm reading sometimes, I deeply wish that there was just a police icon, just so I could be like, all right, that is jail. That's jail. Because the amount of jail-worthy things that get admitted on Reddit is truly astounding. The level of honesty coming out would make a detective shudder. Sometimes a detective is in the room hearing somebody's confession, and all the detective posts under it in the thread is, that's crazy. Like, this is your job, sir. There are bodies to find. And then TikTok served a new purpose. TikTok was in this really interesting place. I don't know if it still is to everyone, but it had the jump. It had the corner market when it came out on like authenticity. Yes. You could blow up on TikTok by being yourself. There was no like algorithmic thing that you had to figure out. Some people went that route. Some people were like, oh, you know, you have to have a flash on your video in the first 2.5 seconds. That'll make people blink, and before they know it, they've been watching for 10 minutes. Like, there were all these posts about how to get people on your page and keep them there and get followers, stuff like that. But mostly what people were won over with and how followings grew was people just being themselves. In fact, people on TikTok didn't like a polished look. That was like a real separation from the rest of social, because everything else, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Reddit, when videos were posted to a degree, people really got into the production quality, because for so long, all we had was Hollywood. Those are the only people that could make things that looked good, that were entertaining. And so then when it started to break out away just from Hollywood into the masses, and if you're very talented and you know what to do with a camera and you can tell a story, now people are watching your thing because it's Hollywood quality. But TikTok came along and people liked that it was messy. They liked that you were just in your room. They liked that you were just talking to them. Maybe your mic was a little off. The amount of people who post TikTok have a camera in their car to talk to the world. That's a TikTok thing. Instagram didn't have that. If you tried to talk to people on Instagram, from your car in a video, telling them your thoughts, your feelings about life. You go back before TikTok blew up, you try to do this in your car on Facebook, people would be like, oh, you mentally ill, okay. I didn't know. I had no idea until you started talking about your breakup in your car. Like I was in the room with you, but I'm not. Like TikTok invented all that stuff. Like I'm not saying that there weren't people who were posting and streaming and doing stuff everywhere, but I'm talking about making it normal, right? That was a TikTok thing. And even if you have the same piece of information, you post it to the platform with different expectations, you know? Let's say you got engaged and you tell everybody on Reddit. Not everyone, but a lot of people on Reddit, when you post your engagement photo, for some reason they'll rip you apart. For some reason, they'll really come for you like, why you so tall? Of course, another Chad gets a girl. I mean, because people on Reddit, they can be incredible and they can be ruthless. Like any app, all of them. But Reddit, people have a special talent for getting in those feelings, you know what I mean? Like, you'll just post a picture of your hand with the finger, with the engagement ring on it. Why your finger's so fat? I'm surprised you got it on. You're gonna have to leave it on for the rest of your life. It's never coming off now. I hope he the one, because that ring never slipping off. You could have all the butter in the world, okay? You post your engagement to Twitter. Good luck. They may not rip you apart, but you may be served with like an entire essay about how marriage was actually this form of slavery that's been used by the patriarchy since the beginning of time, but really in feudalism to control women and stop them from finding any joy or autonomy of their own. And every time they try to break away from this sort of structure, they get beat back down by other women actually with the expectation that they're gonna build a nuclear family, because without them, the country will fall into shambles and it'll all be their fault. I mean, everything is a woman's fault when you think about it, but for the most part, this one thing will be their fault because it's them actually doing it, you know what I mean? And then you'll get to the bottom and be like, I regret posting. You'll post your engagement to Instagram. Instagram, I'm not gonna lie, that will be one of the better places to post, but it will be filled with a lot of fake love. It'll be filled with a lot of comments like, oh, girl, you look so good. Oh, wow, and what a beautiful, the lighting and everything. Where people on Instagram go to talk trash is the DM. You know what I mean? So everything they would have said to your face on Reddit, they say behind your back in the DM after they post, and they give it a like and they comment, ooh, you two were meant for each other. It's not gonna last. Post is here, DM is here, and people going back and forth. They'll start a whole thread under you. They'll start a whole thread under your post about how perfect y'all are for each other. I remember the first day that y'all met. It was so sweet, and he asked if he could buy you a drink. He's a total creep. I always knew he was a creep. At least she got him off the streets. It's just wonderful that your love has lasted so long. Y'all have been together for 4 years. That's incredible. What a beautiful relationship. I'm surprised it took him this long. Yeah. One time, I had a friend get engaged, and sure enough, they posted to Instagram. The whole thing was going down. It was all happening, right? It was all happening. All the love, all the likes, all the you know, like when the emoji is the yellow emoji, but the eyes are hearts and the mouth is way too wide. You know what I'm talking about? And it was all of that. And then a thread got started with these two friends just gushing over the pictures and how they looked and how cute it was because he brought the dog. And then it was like him and the dog were proposing, like, be part of our family. It was so sweet. And then at the very bottom, they must have mistaken the post for the DM, because the very bottom, one of the friends was like, bitch. You post your Instagram, you expect certain things, you know. You post your engagement to TikTok, anything could happen. Because once again, the thing that led people to people was their sort of authenticity. So if you post to Instagram, now the parasocial relationship that gets built on Instagram is different, because those people are like people that you probably kind of knew. Facebook used to just be people that you know. And Instagram made it more popular to have friends that you were never going to meet, but you do know, right? TikTok now has completely lost that sort of connection, but there is a parasocial relationship from the amount of time someone has been following you. So you post your engagement to TikTok, and people are either over the moon for you, or they're like, why am I seeing this? What's so special about your love that's on the For You page? Like, I'm not really digging this at all. It's either people who have watched you make TikToks about going on a date, about meeting the person, about dating the person, and then now you're engaged and they feel like they're there with you because they've watched you over this 4-year period. Get close to a person, start to trust them, talk about love, talk about relationship, and now you're engaged. It just feels like this moment that everyone's having together, right? Maybe you're pregnant. And you post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit. Yep. You post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit, and Reddit is like, good for you, I guess. Glad that you found somebody to bring somebody into the world with and stuff. Good. Happy for you. Here's a picture of Pikachu for some reason. You post your pregnancy announcement to X, and a thread starts. A thread from a quote tweet of you posting your pregnancy from someone who doesn't know you, talking about how pregnancy is actually a patriarchal tool that's been used since the beginning of time. Since Eve, it's been used as a structure to hold women down, connected to men that do not deserve them, all right? Men that just sort of anchored them to the family unit. And they say that they'll be providers, but they go off and they die in wars caused by other men for treasure and for land. And then you are left with the child, and a child that will eventually resent you for not having that sort of male figure in their life, because it's your fault that he went to war. It's your fault that there was even a war, because you were just living being a woman while there was war. How dare you, right? And so then people start arguing in the thing. People you don't know, by the way. You don't know these people at all, but now they're arguing about the merits of pregnancy. And then it turns into this weird thing about if you should breastfeed or use formula, and then everybody's like kind of attacking each other on that, and people are saying some really out-of-pocket things, and you don't really know who these people are because they have like avatars of anime, but at the same time they're talking about how like you're not a real mom unless you breastfeed, and you're like, in what world are you even human, or are you AI? Like this feels like the CIA or something. It's crazy. You post your pregnancy to Instagram. Get ready. Get ready for the overwhelming amount of fake love and bad advice. Random bad advice too. Comments that are not only not helpful, they're almost not what the post is about in a way. It'll be like, congratulations, but don't drink any lemon water for 7 months, all right? Like, why? It's like, oh, I did, and now my son is a felon. It's like, you post your pregnancy to Facebook. People are over the moon, you know? They're like, oh, I can't. That's amazing. Look at you. I even read the whole thing. I haven't read the whole post, and now I'm gonna give it the little hug one. You know, the hug one? You only use the hug one when somebody's pregnant or when something really bad has happened. You only use the hug emoji in the best of times or the worst of times. There's no in between. It's never I got a new job hug emoji. It's either like this is the best day of my life hug emoji, or at 12:58 we lost. You post your pregnancy announcement to TikTok. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild because while you're posting to TikTok in the announcement that you're pregnant, yeah, you might have followers that are excited for you, but you stub your toe. And when you stub your toe, for a split second, you just hit your toe because you're walking and talking, because you don't have it on the tripod. You've got your phone in your hand, because once again, we like authenticity. Obviously, a ring light is good. We like to see the people. But for the most part, we just want to feel like we're part of your life. And so you're going around, look at the baby room, everybody. That's because we're pregnant. Yay. Oh. And now that one errant noise is the most popular TikTok of all time. That one errant noise. There's just people are now putting that noise to whole historical events, right? You'll see a whole historical event. You'll see the most irreverent posts. You know, somebody will pull something in black and white, something like the Hindenburg or something, and just your voice going, oh! You know what I mean? Somebody will make a TikTok of their uncle falling down with no noise except you going, oh! No, we're deeply unserious people. It's all in how we communicate. Like, even if you're having an argument, like, let's say, maybe it's not a breakup, but let's say it's to that level where you're like, should I break up with this person? We're not getting along. We're not getting along at all. This doesn't even make any sense. You shouldn't be in a relationship that has this much stress. And so then you go ahead and you post exactly what happened from your point of view to Reddit. It's some of the best reading you'll ever read in your life. You know, some of the best reading of all time, you know? Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? All this stuff. It's great. And you post everything that happened. And then the opinions start flowing in, right? And the opinions are anything from, look, I think that with enough communication and an understanding of a genuine foundation of the love that you have for each other, y'all can come to a consensus about what happened. It goes from that to kill him in his sleep. Go ahead. No, I wouldn't take that if I was you. If it were me, I'm gonna make him a pie. I'm gonna fill it full of glass. And then he gonna be eating the pie because he greedy. He gonna be eating the pie. I love apple pie. I know you love apple pie, stupid. I know it. And he gonna be eating the apple glass pie, and then all of a sudden he gonna be like, yo, my stomach hurt. And then he gonna reach for his phone. I'm gonna grab the phone and use the phone to record him while he on the ground. Ooh, my stomach hurt. Oh. Then I'm gonna ask him, was it worth it? Do you feel right now? And then I might call the ambulance, I might not. Let me see how I feel when I do it. People will admit to whole crimes they're willing to commit based off of things that other people said when they just simply asked the question, am I wrong? You said, hey, am I wrong? I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties, and they threw a big tantrum about it. Am I wrong? And then someone on Reddit was like, no, you're not wrong. In fact, you should kill them right now. Kill them before they can even go to work again. And then a detective in the chat room, in the thread, is like, that's crazy. I wouldn't do that. You post an argument that you're having to X. Here's what happened. Look, I'm just throwing it out there. This is what happened. And then you get quote tweeted. Someone you don't know who like knows the situation because they read the tweet, but is clearly inserting a lot from their life into the argument you're having. Because you're like, hey, I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties. Am I wrong? Because they threw a big tantrum about it, said that I don't support them and stuff. And then someone quote tweets it, and they say, you know what? I've been in a situation like this, and while we don't know each other, I feel like we're in a similar boat, because the person that I was dating at the time was very selfish, and anytime I wanted to do something or not do something for my own well-being, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to be a part of it, right? It was either their way or the highway. It was either their way or I was a bad partner, you know? And just because I didn't want to be with them while they were doing their work, I was a bad partner, which isn't fair, because they were a drug mule, all right? They were a drug mule, and because I don't want to travel that much, I'm cool with them drug muling. I just don't like going to Mexico like that. I don't need that many trips to Tijuana. I just want to stay home one weekend. But they're like, no, you need to hold the bag. I don't want to hold the bag. You're the mule, not me. Mule better. Why are you muling with help? Do your job. It's your job. It's not our job. I work in an office. You post the argument that you're having to Instagram. And it's kind of hard because it's just like, it just doesn't really fit in that way. Like it's hard to be like, here's a picture of us arguing. Y'all go ahead and argue about it amongst yourselves. Or you could even tell a story. You could try to tell a story about what happened, but people on Instagram just don't really engage like that sometimes. Like, obviously there's arguments on Instagram and people can go back and forth in the comments and stuff. But as far as like being with you throughout the story of the argument and swiping enough times to see the whole argument, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? You post the argument that you're having to Facebook, and you do get a lot of opinions, but they're mostly emojis. They're mostly like, I'm sorry you're going through that, huh? You know? Or, I can't believe them, angry face. You know? Or worse, you just get a like. I don't even know what that means. I don't know whose side are you on. I'm telling you, I'm asking for help, but you hit me with a like. That honestly, in text and on Facebook, is some of the most disrespect that you can do when somebody really needs help, when they really need something, and you hit them with a... Just say you don't care. Please, you didn't even care enough to type out, I don't care. You hit them with a... Y'all, I don't know, I'm in negotiations right now for a job, and they said that I should set my asking price, you know, for my salary, and I've never done that before. And I looked up the normal, like, market salary for the job that I'm doing, and it's a little high from what they advertise, but it's entry level, so I don't know if I should try to bump them up and let them bring me back down, or if I give them a price that's too high, that they'll just not call me back, you know? The disrespect. You post the argument that you're having to TikTok, and not only will someone take your side, they'll take the audio of you explain the argument, and they will set it to the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen. Use it as inspiration for somebody else to leave their partner. And they turned it back on this morning. It was gone for all of whatever. 12 hours some places. I feel bad for Canadians, because apparently got shut off for some Canadians too, and they were like, what did we do? We weren't even really in it like that. How does that affect us? And then, you know, had a message this morning. They were like, oh, we're going to reinstate TikTok. And it's off of goodwill. It's off the faith that an executive order is coming on Monday from Trump that would extend the lifespan before a ban, right? But nothing has really changed, because the whole thing that they said was that as long as ByteDance maintains, like, ownership, or as long as it's Chinese owned, we can't have that. Only we can spy on us.
Because I want to be clear here. The thing, I'm not acting as if there is nothing to be worried about with TikTok as far as like surveillance, as far as just sharing of information, everything. I'm just saying that like the apps, as soon as Apple saw all of the tracking that was going on and that they could get in on that tracking, but they really didn't benefit from the tracking or not the tracking. People just were in the app store, right? They added a thing where now when you open an app for the first time, or it's usually within the first few times you use an app, it'll open up and then you'll get an Apple notification that says, ask app not to track or allow, right? And the things I had to ask to not track was genuinely what, like, almost every app is spying on you. Apps that there's no way they're getting anything. I had an extra alarm app. The phone already come with an alarm, and I got an extra alarm because I didn't really like the alarm that the phone came with. So I said, let me download this alarm. And then it popped up on my phone, ask app not to track. I'm like, track what? I'm asleep. Like, who you gonna tell that I'm asleep? Can you imagine just sharing the data just every day? Every day he wake up at 8 o'clock. Do with that what you will. You know? Because honestly, that's how I feel about data. It's like everyone is stealing it or tracking it, and we as individuals have not fully embraced the importance of it. Like the importance of that privacy, because we don't really know what it's like. Because we were already spying on us. So we don't know what it's like to go from like no privacy to no privacy, and by what entity and how that affects us. You know, there's certain stuff that I'm sure is gonna lead to something really horrible. They're gonna track enough habits and then they'll be able to target you with something you can't help but buy. That's usually the goal of it, is to like sell you another thing down the line, right? Nobody's really trying to get to me like that. Like the alarm app hitting up assassins. Like, hey, if you want to know where he is, he's going to be knocked out for the next 8 hours. You might want to make your move now. You know? But your privacy is important because it's yours. One of the things that even Google does, sometimes when you're on a route, right? Google will then ask you questions later from that route that you took. Hey, was it quick? Was it slow? How many people were there? And it's like, I don't work here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't you weren't with me. You just put it in blue and I followed it. We don't have a relationship like that. How long did it take? Did it take the time that we said, or did it take 5 extra minutes? And it's like, stop trying to get me to help you with your homework. That's all it is. If they want you to do that for them, they should genuinely do something for you. You know? Like, I know the Maps app comes with the phone, but they should do something extra. You know? Google should do you a solid if they're gonna get you to be doing them favors. You can't just glean all this stuff off of people and then give them nothing in return, right? Because then they don't even give you credit. They change the route. The next person that's going where you were going from where you were, they tell them, like, it's actually gonna take 40 minutes, not 35. And they don't say, that's courtesy of Curtis. Curtis, the one, let us know how long it was actually gonna take. We were over here just kind of guessing, and then Curtis was like, it took me 40, so now we said 40 to be safe, so you won't be mad at us and we'll look better, right? They don't do that. They're just like, 40 minutes and I bet you were right. And I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not at all as far as like TikTok goes. People are genuinely addicted to TikTok, but they're addicted to a lot of things. But people are so addicted to TikTok that it made me change my mindset around some addictions, right? Because people will say the kids are addicted to TikTok and they're doing all this bad stuff and they're losing their minds when they can't be on their phone. But then you see, when the ban was looming, the people who were really like chronically on TikTok and were worried about the ban, they started downloading other apps. Apps that were more Chinese. There are people downloading like Red Note. Red Note on the cover, at least for me, didn't even say Red Note. That just said Chinese. It was written in Chinese. It could have said anything. Downloaded it, got on it. Chinese users were calling TikTok US users refugees to our face. And they weren't even being like hella rude. They weren't even clowning us that hard. They were just like, I know you don't have anywhere to go. So let this be a new home for you, okay? We embrace you. And people wanted TikTok in their lives so bad. They wanted it so bad that they were learning Chinese. Duolingo use of English to Chinese went up 216%. They wanted TikTok so bad, they were learning Chinese. They might still be learning Chinese, because once again, this thing isn't over. They were learning Chinese in real time. I've never been so addicted it made me learn. Do you know what I mean? You know what no one has ever treated like crack? School, okay? No one has ever been outside their schoolhouse early, just, I gotta get in, baby. No, they got all the math in there. I gotta get me some. Why would you lock the doors like that? You got all that geometry in there, all the shapes and stuff. You know how it is. I just want to be part of it. Let me do some factions, baby. Never. Even when you try to teach people the thing that they supposedly want to learn, sometimes they don't want to learn it. Sometimes you're not in the mood, right? That's how I know that TikTok is one of the most powerful phenomenons we've experienced. There are people in college right now trying to get a degree in something that use ChatGPT often. This is the thing that you said you want to do with your life. You're literally going into debt to do it. And you're still like, hey, ChatGPT, what's a kidney? I mean, they got me over here doing all this pre-med biology, anatomy stuff and everything. What's a kidney? Like, do you even need that one? Is that like, can you get it removed like tonsils? Oh, man. It's insane. And I don't know what's next, you know? Because as of the time I'm talking to you right now, the executive order hasn't gone out. I'm not saying it wouldn't go out. It makes perfect sense for it to go out. Because even Trump himself has said that the U.S. should own a stake in it, right? But when he said the U.S. should own a stake in it, he, I think, meant more like the government. Because everything happening right now, make no mistake, is very good for TikTok. It's incredibly good for TikTok because now there's buyers coming out of the woodwork. They had this whole time to try to get some sort of stake. They were already talking to Microsoft a little bit, you know? And then now you see Mr. Beast, you see all these people. Like, hey, look, fine, y'all. I'll buy it. I'll do it, you know? And then Musk is like, I'll buy it. And when Musk said he'd buy it, I was like, maybe just let China have this one. Like, that's not... I can't imagine Musk trying to run Twitter and TikTok. Because with Twitter, he ruined Twitter, and I'm not saying this as some bleeding heart liberal or something like that. Oh, Twitter's not what it used to be. He literally called it X, which nobody liked. I don't know anybody that was like, X? Oh, yeah, that's badass, dog. Yeah. Because then when you tweet, you'll X. So then you could X somebody out. Like you could just be cursing them out on your tweets and you Xing them. I love that. Said nobody. He already changed the name to something that doesn't make sense. And then it's an insane app now. It's genuinely crazy. No one likes it. It was getting big. It was getting big for a minute with the Nazis. No, genuinely, Nazis were like all about Twitter for a second. They were like, first of all, we back, okay? First of all, we back because we were getting banned. We were calling people stuff and getting banned. We were posting swastikas and getting banned. And then we were saying we like wanted to kill everybody and we were getting banned. But now we back. You know, never thought I'd see a Nazi try to crip walk before, but like, they were so excited when he reinstated all those accounts. They were like, I'm doing that little dance. They can't really dance. They really just got the one move, you know what I mean? Okay. And then they got into it with Elon over different things. Because the thing that tripped me out about Elon buying Twitter and everybody saying it was because he was trying to save or maintain, preserve free speech, is that he immediately, even in the pursuit of buying, even before it was final, he was doing stuff that was like very anti-free speech. Like you would get into it with Elon, and then all of a sudden something would be like off with your account, right? And as soon as he took it over, he was like, guys, this whole blue checks off everybody liking you, that's done. That's done. You gotta buy your blue checks now. You have to buy your cool, because it's the only way he knows how to do it. And then this dude made this weird check system which nobody understood. They just knew if you paid like $9 a month or whatever, people would actually see what you tweeted. And everybody was calling it tweet still. Everybody. I don't know who besides the news sometimes says X. And then he offers, hey, I'll buy this one too. If Elon had bought TikTok, I think it would have fundamentally destroyed communication. I feel like, yeah. And look, it may still happen. There may still come a day where, you know, he buys TikTok, calls it X squared. You know, he might buy TikTok and just rename it to something stupid. You'd be like, let's just get straight to the point. It's called Clock now. I mean, who knows? We really are in this holding pattern. It's a holding pattern that is deeply frustrating, and it's like one of the most symbolic ways that government can get in the way, because both Trump and Biden have said, I want a TikTok ban at one point. And then both Trump and Biden have tried to not enforce the thing that they said that they wanted. Because even with Biden, it got down to like, you know, last 5 days of his presidency, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna do y'all a solid. I'm not even gonna force the ban. I'm gonna kick it over to Trump, let him see what he wants to do, right? As if that was a move. And then the Supreme Court got involved. The Supreme Court, they didn't just uphold the ban, they were like, and you better shut down. I was like, who are these nerds. I didn't even know the Supreme Court could do it. Like, I knew that they could uphold the ban. Like, I knew legally they could say something. I didn't know they could make anybody do anything. Now I'm confused who has the power, because then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, you have to shut down. And then Biden was like, I'm not going to force it. But the Supreme Court was like, you better shut down. And then Trump is like, well, I will issue an executive order. How does an executive order from one president beat another president's not doing anything about it? Do you see how, like, it would be like if you were doing a bunch of illegal stuff, right? Let's say you're just doing hella illegal stuff. You got guns, you got drugs, you're doing all sorts of crimes. And then right at the same time, the FBI, the ATF, and the local police show up, and they just pointing guns at each other, arguing about who's gonna arrest you. Is what it feels like. It's like, who can do something? That's crazy. You sitting there, everybody got an AR-15 or a Glock, and you're like, look, I'll go with whoever, but just tell me before I move. Because y'all all got one point at each other and pointed at me, and I just did what I did. I don't want to be shot extra. You know? And that's the thing. That's how it keeps you. That's how it keeps you ready to lose your mind, because you just want some form of clarity. You know. And this is all, sadly. All this is happening because the thing that TikTok gave people by existing as an app and allowing people to be on it was just community. That's all it is. People aren't necessarily just addicted to TikTok because they figured out an algorithm that was like very pleasing to the eye, or because videos are very short, or there's like earworm music that you can love to listen to over and over again, or it gets stuck in your head. Genuinely, the thing that addicted people to TikTok was community. It was like, oh, I've always been weird, and now I met weirdos like me. You'll get addicted to that. It's kind of that thing. Getting addicted to community is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of what having a family is like. You know? But we're so genuinely fractured in how we move that it's easier to build community and relationship with people that are distant from you online than it is like right here. Like, you ever tried to make a friend in real time? Making a friend in real time. You ever thought you were friends with somebody and then you went in for the hug? Getting a hug rejected is way worse than getting a kiss rejected. Like, a kiss is just like, okay, we're at a level, I thought something was happening that wasn't happening. You know what I mean? And the kiss getting rejected is very subtle, because you can lean in, they can be like, what are you doing, right? Getting a hug rejected is a whole dodge. That's a whole Heisman right there. You ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend? I think I'm friends with people way too fast. So you ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend, and then you get a hand in the chest? It's like, whoa, what you doing, buddy? What's the plan here? I've tried to hug people before that look like they would rather me rob them. You know? So it's hard. It's hard to even guess what's going to happen, because one of the main reasons that they wanted a ban was because they could not control the flow of information, and they could not control the way that people were communicating with each other. You know? If you can control community, then you have everything. If you can tell a whole community what to do or how to think, then you have a power over them that is really scary, because it's not just a connection that you have with them to get them to do something. It's the fact that them going against the grain may make them lose everything. It's how cults work, you know? And everything that they accuse TikTok of doing is already what Facebook does. It's already what Twitter does, Instagram, you know? They just do it in a different way. And they do it in a way that's not as cohesive, right? Because they are really trying to get your money. And so you look at something like how people operate on TikTok. And sure, there's misinformation everywhere. There's people maybe leading people down a bad path. You wouldn't have some of the hardcore manosphere type dudes without TikTok either, you know? Young people watching this thing. This guy seems cool. He's got a cool car. And he's telling you he can get you girls, he can get you whatever. And so then you watch the next one, the next one, the next one. And before you know it, you are kind of talking like him. You are doing what he does. But that can happen anywhere. That's not a thing specific to TikTok. Social is very powerful. And it's powerful in a way that I think we underestimate sometimes. Because you got to remember that our grandparents did not grow up with this stuff. This is ours. This thing, when you were a kid and the internet was popping off, you know, or maybe you're younger than that and the internet's just always been around. It makes me feel pretty old. Yeah. You know, I remember I had to explain a modem. Having to explain a modem makes you look like you drove the first Ford vehicle. Like I had to explain the modem, not just like, I had to explain that like a modem and a router used to be different. And that you used to have to put one here and put one here. It was a different thing. And then they combined it one day and y'all spoiled because now all of it in one. When you buy the internet, when they send you internet to your house, it made me talk old. Just like I got so caught up in like the fact that they were born in like 2003 that I was like, no, see, you spoiled because when they send that internet to your house, when you plug in them internets, you just get it right away. We didn't always get it. We had to troubleshoot it. We had to be like, now the router say I got internet, but the modem say I don't. So then let these two battle it out real quick. You know, sometimes you got a modem in and the modem didn't even work. You be getting mad. You shaking the modem. Because our grandparents didn't grow up with this sort of thing, but they are just, look, Facebook is their TikTok. Every generation of people has a TikTok is TikTok for the young people. A little bit older, Instagram is our TikTok. And then Facebook. It's TikTok. You want to know how I know it's their TikTok? Because the things that they pull off of Facebook, the things they say to me that they saw on Facebook, I've never heard in the history of my life. I remember when TikTok came out and I was like, damn, everybody 18 and younger can just dance now. That's crazy. Everywhere I do, you would see people making TikToks out in the world just in a parking lot like, you know? And then you see that. It's not dancing. It's in the form of like conspiracy theories with our grandparents. Our grandparents saying stuff coming off of Facebook I've never heard before. They'd be like, hey, you know them dinosaur eggs they found? What? Them dinosaur eggs they found. They full of gold. My boy was talking. Straight up. He was talking to his granddad. His granddad had been going down this thread of conversation, had joined this community on Facebook, and his granddad genuinely explained to him what was happening that nobody was talking about right now, really went into lots of detail and stuff. And what his granddad thought was actually happening in the current moment was just the plot of the movie The Mummy. It was just him being like, no, see, you don't understand. So they buried these dudes a while back. They mummies, right? But then they buried them with these like talisman type things. And so they could wake up at any moment. Like you gonna see it. It's gonna be just like COVID. You know, everybody gonna be living their life. Then all of a sudden somebody gonna be like, oh, and then... the levels of conspiracy I've seen off Facebook lets me know that like, okay, part of what's happening is that they literally join. It says it, community. They join this community. And they talk to these people all the time. These people get each other riled up. They enjoy each other's company, at least in a sense, right? They're typing, but it's still like somebody is there. If you want your grandparents to stop believing in conspiracy theories that they get off of Facebook, just call them. It would be the biggest distraction to conspiracy theories we've ever seen. Just call, just distract them. Just be like, hey, you on the computer right now? Hey, how about you just sit down and chat with me? Let's FaceTime. And then in the FaceTime, you can make sure that you don't see the glow of a computer on their face. And you can just talk to them about things that are actually happening. How's your day going? Oh, well, you know, my hip isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? But just that, building community with your family stops this thing of like, you know, them dinosaur eggs. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad anymore. You know, like a part of me thinks that maybe it's pretty good because of what I saw as it was shutting down. I saw people sharing some of the first TikToks they ever watched, some of the first ones they ever fell in love with. Everybody was like really coming together. I didn't even see a bunch of infighting. There wasn't like 5 things that men should stop doing if they ever want to date again. It's like, it was just people being like, hey, remember this thing? That was pretty funny. That was so nice. You know? And I hope it can continue that way. I hope we can always treat TikTok like this thing that we almost lost if it does stay. You know? Because when you almost lose something, you kind of hold it a little bit more precious, right? And then it could be like the opposite of X. It could be like But the main thing that people got so rabid over with TikTok was just connection. You're in a community now. You know, you're a community of people. These people get you. These people are either going through what you're going through or they at least understand what you're going through. So there's a shared language that I don't have to break down what I'm like to every single person all the time. You know? And then to lose that, yeah, it might make you learn Chinese.
Give it up for Josh Johnson.
I've been loving getting to watch in real time the indictment of New York Mayor Eric Adams. This dude sucks so much. It's so bad. This dude sucks. I don't know who your mayor is, but be glad it's not Eric Adams. This dude is the worst. He's so corrupt. And it's like corruption. This is what's disappointing about Eric Adams' corruption, is that it's like petty. Do you know what I mean? We expect politics to be corrupt. It says a lot that we do, but a part of us, do you know what I mean? And what does that say about us to a certain degree? I think about that a lot. What does that say about our expectations, that we expect corruption? You know what I mean? At lots of levels. You know, city councilman did this thing, president did this thing, whatever it is, we expect it. And then when people run, we don't really believe in them. Maybe if someone can make us believe in them along the way, that's the person that we vote for, because we're like, wow, this person's different. But different from what? The expectation is corruption, you know? And he's corrupt in a way that's truly disappointing. It's a shame. It's embarrassing how easy a politician is to buy. You could lease a new Subaru. Or you could buy a politician depending on the position of the state. The things these people go down for, we're talking not money if we're talking politics, right? Like if I was a senator and I wanted to be corrupt, you'd have to get me good. You have to take care of me because I might lose my job. I might go to jail. I need a nest egg to protect me. You know, something to look forward to while I'm in jail doing all that time for doing you a favor and being corrupt. Like, that's why I don't agree with it, and I'm glad he's going down for it. But Menendez makes sense. He took gold bars. That's cartoonish corruption. That is like full on 1950s cartoon corruption. That is New Yorker political cartoon corruption. To just take actual gold bars. Where do you get gold bars from? And then take the gold bars to do the favor for the person. This is what's funny about Eric Adams being indicted is that New York City is, and this is coming from someone who lives there, and I do love it in New York, right? But New York is a dirty place, all right? Inside and out, okay? It's one of the more corrupt places. So to be the first mayor to ever be indicted with corruption charges in New York City, you gotta be one of the dumbest people who has ever lived. It's a city of corruption and you got caught. That's crazy. Sometimes I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he couldn't believe it. He was like, y'all, this is what we do. How y'all gonna get mad now? I did the regular amount of corruption. I didn't even go overboard. I got some flights upgraded. Why would y'all? No, it is that dumb. This dude... Eric Adams' corruption is so petty. This dude about to go to jail because he let Turkey upgrade some flights for him. He basically is gonna go to jail for what is Delta Gold Medallion. Like, it's just... It's very petty. Some nice meals, some flights. That's great that our mayor, New York's mayor, all it took to buy him was just treat him like a bad bitch for a night. Like, it's... Do you know how embarrassing that is? Do you know how much money is in New York? I need at least 6 skyscrapers to be as corrupt as Eric Adams. I'd be like, take care of me. No, I need land. What are you talking about, a flight? A flight where I might fall asleep and miss my corruption? No. Because you know, sometimes you get upgraded by your airline, you get all excited. You like, oh, I'm sitting in, got the extra leg room and everything. I can kick for no reason and stuff. And then you wake up at the destination and you're like, dang, I didn't even enjoy the free glass of champagne and orange juice. That's his level of corruption. It's so dumb. He sucks. But Eric Adams started as a cop, right? And I actually watched this video of him. It was a very entertaining watch. Basically, when he was a cop, he did a video. Maybe he was still a cop. I don't know. Maybe it retired, but anyway, he used his police expertise to make the video. And it's basically a video where he shows parents how to search their children's rooms for drugs and guns, right? And the thing that's amazing about it is that clearly one of two things happened. Either Eric Adams told whoever was shooting the video to just go fill a room full of crack, or Eric Adams kept using the same 6 crack rocks in between takes. Because he was pulling crack out of places that didn't really make any sense. Like those... When you have crack, the intention is to smoke it or sell it. And where he was pulling, because then, first of all, the room didn't make sense. Because the room is supposed to be a child's room, right? But the room has stuff for a kid that's about to head off to college or somebody in preschool. Like, there's just too much going on in the room. The room makes sense if you were never gonna leave that room for 26 years. Like, it doesn't... The room did not make sense at all. So then Eric Adams would do weird stuff, like he'd be like, looks like a regular tricycle, right? But if you pop this tire right quick, you pop this tire, pull it out, what do we find? Crack cocaine. It was incredible. Like, looks like a regular doll, huh? But if you stab it in the back and rip it open, what do we find? Crack cocaine. And honestly, like, look, I even get the spirit behind what he's doing, but if your child is on crack, there will be other signs. Besides a heavy tricycle wheel. I've never seen a kid on a bike with a flat tire and been like, we're losing the youth. It's insane. This dude is over here going, a simple jewelry box. But if we open it, what do we find? A loaded gun. A pillow? You gave your child a pillow? And thought that they weren't gonna do the worst with it? You reach in that pillowcase, what do you find? A Glock. My favorite was standing near a bookcase. And he didn't say these words exactly, but the feeling that I got when I was watching him was just, you think your child reads? You think your little baby boy, baby girl reading in here? No. They're a child, and we all know children are what? Crackheads. You open this book, and what do you find? What spills out? Crack cocaine. No, it was incredible. It was truly, the only thing he did do was pull crack out of the gun. Like, but, and I can't stress this enough, Eric Adams is like terrible. He really is, like, he really is, he's the worst. It's so bad. He sucks. He sucks so much. You should be so glad he's not your mayor. Like, that's... Oh, man. I'll be honest with you. I didn't do the research. I don't know who your mayor is. I just know it's not Eric Adams. So you got 2 legs up on New York City. This dude, first of all, when he was running, he was corrupt. The dude was running, and he was already doing stuff where we were like, if it's not illegal, it's weird. This dude told the story of, because, he's a cop, and he reminds everybody all the time they used to be a cop, right? And it depends, because he does a thing that's real sneaky. He's really good at it, right? Where he was a black cop. So in some rooms, he's black. In some rooms, I used to be a cop. And never the 2 rooms shall meet. If like... It's crazy. Okay, so this dude, when he was running, would tell the story of a fallen officer, right? His friend that he loved dearly, who died in the line of duty, and he loved his friend so much that he keeps a picture of him in his wallet with him all the time, right? And it's a heartwarming story because no matter your feelings on cops, no matter your feelings on like the criminal justice system, I think everyone can understand what it's like to lose a friend, right? You can understand what it's like to lose, especially when you lose a friend when you're both in danger. Maybe you both were in the military together. Maybe you're both cops. Maybe you served in some way and then you lost your friend. And no one's going to know what that was like except for people who it also happened to, right? And he kept the picture in his wallet. Except the picture in his wallet that he showed people was printed out by his staff members, and they threw a little coffee on it to make it look old. And that's before he did anything illegal. This dude is the devil. Like, he really sucks. This dude, I don't even know how he won. He doesn't live in New York. You know how usually you have to live where you're the mayor of? I'm not gonna make any assumptions about your mayor, but I'm assuming they live here. I imagine your mayor doesn't actually live in Illinois. That would be weird, right? To come over and be like, hey, I'm here with y'all. We're in this together. I'ma go though. Dude lived in Jersey. And then it got outed that he lived in Jersey. And so at the last second, he had the New York Times try to help him cover it. And they did a profile of him at his house in Brooklyn that he was clearly walking into for the first time. This dude walked in. You could tell he had never been in there before. He over here like, and as you can see, my wall. If you don't have one, you gotta get one. All right, these walls are fire. This dude walked in, and clearly, whatever staff was trying to help him look like he lived there, I feel like they tried to like Ocean's 11 it and like did it a little too late because they were clearly moving stuff into the place to make it look furnished. But then he probably called them and told like, hey, I'm on the way now. Y'all got to get out because the apartment did not make sense. You walk in and in the living room is the bed. That's an intern who had to drop the bed like as they like, what? And then, you know, they go, he opens the fridge because he really tried to do this MTV Cribs for the New York Times, right? And so then he opens the fridge and he's like, blat out my snacks, right? And there is way too much meat for Adams to be a vegan. There's so much meat. It looked like it was stocked by Hillshire Farms. There's way too much meat in there. Not even mistakable meat. Not even like, oh, I thought the Impossible Burger. Like, it was full-on meat. And when they ask him about it, he's like, oh, my son be sneaking in, you know what I mean? You know, because you know how when you have kids, you know, as parents, you know how when you have kids, they sneak into your home and leave food, you know what I mean? In the fridge uneaten. You know how children are. All they do is leave food in the fridge and smoke crack. That's what children do. This dude is the worst. This man brought back stop and frisk. if you don't know what stop and frisk is, it was practice in New York where basically the police could stop you at any time and frisk you, check you for drugs and weapons and stuff like that. It was very popular under like Giuliani and stuff, but it was like found to be pretty disproportionate because they would just stay in one place and check everybody there. You know? So it was just black and brown people. It was mostly black and Hispanic people that were like stopped and frisked. And it didn't even really work because the people with guns and drugs were like, I'll stay home. You know? They found when they did studies on it that, you know, more often than not, it was men, over 9% men. So it's like 99.3% men of the stop and frisk. And then also in the 90s were black and brown people. So it was like, I think like 5% white, right? Which is just go all over New York. You're allowed to stop and frisk. Just stop and frisk everywhere. Just do the Upper West Side. Do you know what I mean? Just be like, hey, what's in the briefcase though? That could be full of anything. But they didn't, so it was found to be like an unconstitutional practice. It was found unconstitutional in 2013, and the New York police like disbanded it fully in 2020, and then Eric Adams brought it back. Which is odd, because this is my thing about Eric Adams, and what I mean about that chameleon move that he does is that Eric Adams, I don't even know the exact particulars of the story. All I know is that he was arrested when he was a kid. Some people say he was a member of a gang himself, right? And that he, got beat up by the police. He tells this story of being a victim of police brutality at like 14, 15. Him and his friend got caught. They had done two things. I think they had stolen some checks or something, and they stole something else, and it was when they were trying to cash the stolen check they got caught, and basically they got beat up at the police station. And apparently the way that I believe Eric tells it is that these white cops were beating him and his friend up, and then a black cop came in and told him to stop. And he was like, and that was the moment I decided that I wanted to be a police officer, turn my life around, everything, because I just saw the way that black cop moved, right? He's like, I saw the power, the respect, I saw the fear that people had, you know, and I was like, okay. It's a weird thing to pull from that lesson, but all right. We're all our own people. And so it's weird to me that he's so adamant about being punitive as someone who grew up the way that he grew up. It's very odd that he doesn't see himself in any of the youth that he wants to arrest or wants to punish. Like that's even only part of why he sucks. Like, he sucks. This dude sucks so much. He's the worst. They opened the investigation into Eric Adams the way that the feds do, which is quietly. You know what I mean? The thing that's scary about the feds is that they always get you. Their conviction rate is in the 90s. So it's basically done. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when they show up, it's only a matter of time, right? And the feds opened an investigation into them, and this is like a year ago, that they came through and they were like, hey, we're gonna need everybody's cell phone. Your whole team, right? Which is already not great. Probably every mean thing I've ever said is on my cell phone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I try to be a good person, but if you pull up on me and you snatch my cell phone, you're gonna be like, oh, you an asshole, okay. The cell phone feels safe. You know, and the feds roll up and, you know, take his laptop, his cell phone, everything. And this is how you know, this is how a guilty dude moves, right? So he goes ahead and gets swooped on when the feds come and get everybody's cell phone, and he's like, oh, actually, my cell phone, I don't have it on me, right? I don't have it. And they were like, okay, we'll bring it first thing tomorrow. And he brings it. Next day, brings it, right? And then he's like, actually, I had changed my password to keep my aides out of my phone, because you know how aides are, always trying to face ID you and see what your business is and everything, even though you email them personally and stuff. But like, try to keep my aides out of my phone. So went ahead and I'm giving it to you now, but just know that I had to change the password, keep my aides out of my phone, and I just forgot it. This dude moves like a man who cheats. Like, that's crazy. And the feds basically had so much on them that they were like, oh, we don't need your phone. Because we have every other phone that you text. Ooh. There's even instances of Adam's aides knowing things were illegal and then being like, y'all, this is illegal. They said it in the text, but y'all, this is illegal. I don't think he'll want to do it. And then you know that text bubble? He'd be like, hey, this is illegal. I don't know if he'll want to do it. And then the person from Turkey or wherever would be like, are you sure? And then the text bubble. That bubble be cooking, right? That bubble be bubbling up, right? And then it go away for a second. And then it come back and be like, never mind, he's down. The amount of times that his aide said to other people, this is illegal. And then several texts later be like, so when are we? It was incredible, man. It's really fascinating. And then there was like, I think it was like one of his campaign aides, one of the people that worked under him, was being interrogated. And as soon as she realized the interrogation wasn't friendly, she was like, can I go to the bathroom real quick? And so they were like, yeah, sure. And then she went to the bathroom and apparently started mass deleting as many text messages as she could. But then she was in there so long that the fans were like, she deleted text messages. Like, nobody got a boo-boo that bad. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe she is shitting herself, but not. I can just imagine you realize your boss about to go to jail, you might go to jail too, and now you in the bathroom just, I'll be right out. Oh, it's bad. Oh no. Y'all still there? I can't stress this enough. This dude sucks. Like, it's like, okay. Maybe one of the funniest things about the whole case is that we don't definitively know one way or the other, but there's a chance that this dude, like the last straw that broke everything, that had the roof come tumbling down, that kicked over his house of cards, might have been, maybe, Sabrina Carpenter. Inadvertently. I don't know if you remember, but Sabrina Carpenter did a music video for a song called Feather, right? And in that music video, she's in a church, right? And she got permission to be in that church. As controversial as everything was, and as much as the archdiocese freaked out after they saw the video and as upset as people were, she got permission, right? She did the right thing, and she asked, can I do my video here? She didn't just run in and be like, quick. She did everything by the book. Right? And the person that allowed her was a Monsignor, right? This Monsignor gave permission to shoot in the church and everything. And then when the video comes out, obviously the archdiocese is all upset and stuff. They're like, nothing provocative or sexual should be in a church. That's what they said. Don't get weird with me. And so then they demoted the Monsignor. That's how mad they were, you know? They didn't fire him because I guess it's impossible to get fired at a church. You know, anybody else, any other job, they would have been like, you gotta go. But Catholic Church, they're like, no, we'll move you, don't worry. And basically, one of the things that came from that whole thing, especially how public it was the feds subpoenaed the archdiocese over the Monsignor because he had connections, like as in a relationship or maybe even a business relationship with Eric Adams' chief of staff, right? And so they were like looking into it, and then Sabrina Carpenter's moved on. She just sort of like, oh, I didn't realize it. Whoops. And I don't know. I think that people don't realize how much trouble Eric Adams is in because this isn't like a police thing. This isn't like a local police or something. Like local police could run cover for a mayor. And so Eric Adams gets indicted, right? Present day, he gets indicted, and this dude holds a press conference. It's one of the worst press conferences I've ever watched in my entire life. This is incredible. People talk about Giuliani and everything when he did that 4 seasons press conference and stuff like that. Not gonna lie, this one put that one to shame, okay? This one was really, but first of all, they decided to do it outside. I don't really know why, but maybe he's not allowed in buildings. I have no idea, but they decided to do it outside, and they had a tent up because it was raining. But Eric Adams and he does this a lot. He does this in a way, this is one of the reasons I can't stand Eric Adams. This is one of the things that makes him suck, right? Is that whenever he's in trouble, whenever he needs something, he's very, very black. You know, and so now that he's in trouble, he has gathered around him every black person that will stand next to him, I suppose. And so he had everybody. He had so many people that they couldn't all fit under the tent. So now there are some people getting rained on halfway, just trying to lean in and everything. Do the one-sided thing. And the press conference starts, and there's protesters at the press conference. And, you know, Adams did some weird stuff. Like when he got indicted, he did like a message to New Yorkers and everything. And in the message, he says, like, I knew as soon as I stood up for New York, I would become a target. And then we were like, when did you stand up and who is targeting you? Like, this is odd. I've heard this language before, but I've never seen it make less sense since the last time I heard it. You know? And finally, you know, he goes ahead, he's doing press conference and stuff, and there's protesters there. And the protesters are screaming at him. They're like, you're an embarrassment. Don't try to act black now. You brought back stop and frisk. You brought back every policy that came down hard on the black community, but now you want to be black because you're in trouble and you want us to back you up and everything. And they're yelling. And the whole time, Eric Adams is like, You ever been at a restaurant and there's a couple trying not to fight? And then finally, one of them can't take it anymore, and she stands up, and she's like, you cheating bastard, or whatever, and then he's like, It was that. And so he just stands like, okay. And then he lets people speak for him, right? So his pastor speaks, and his other pastor speaks, and I think another pastor speaks. You go to extra church when you're in trouble, right? So then pastor after pastor after pastor are speaking, right? And all the pastors are like, hey, listen, we don't even know. Everybody has to have their day in court. Like, no one is actually professing this dude's innocence. Everybody's like, yeah, you can't judge lest ye be judged. And once again, remember, I told you it's one of the worst press conferences I've ever seen, because not only can not everybody fit under the tent, and not only are the people not making a convincing argument for Adams to be innocent, which is what we would very much like our elected official to be, right? This one lady gets up there, and she's been the loudest against the other protest. She's like, shut up, let him speak, blah, 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 right? And so it's her turn to speak. And then she gets up there, and she's like, good morning, New York! Like, she's just trying to shout everybody down. She's like, I've known Eric Adams for 40 years! And she's just screaming, right? And he is completely... And then the mic starts going out. Completely... And he's not corrupt with it. Thank you. And then the dude went up there, and I don't really know what his position was. I don't know. He might have just been a black dude Eric Adams pulled that day, because this guy gets up there and he goes, good morning, New York. Good morning, New York. I've known Eric Adams for years, and he is, for 64 years, he has loved and served New York, and we cannot throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. He is 64. And I was like, where's the logic going here? You want that dude to be innocent because he's 64? Like, is that... There's no way he served 64. He just is alive for 64 years. But this dude was slick with it. He was like, do not throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. Nobody gonna kill him. Like, what are you talking about? Throwing away 64, we're not dating him. He got indicted. Do not throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. He is 64, thank you. I feel like that's all I do. The Eric Adams was like, probably should have let that be a tweet. And then it's Eric Adams' turn, right? And then counter-protesters are yelling. They're like, you're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to black people. You are an absolute embarrassment to the city, okay? You trying to make it a black thing. It's not a black thing. It's a you thing. You're corrupt. You're corrupt by yourself. It's not a black thing. It's a you thing, right? This dude's screaming. And he's like, what? Why is anything you're saying different from Trump? You're talking about you standing in the way. Stand in the way of what? You corrupt by yourself, right? And then Eric Adams like, and then he starts taking questions, right? And some of the questions were, you said that as soon as you stood up for New Yorkers, you would become a target. Who do you think you're a target of? Like Homeland Security, or what? There are government bodies that are serving you this indictment. Who do you think is targeting you, and why? And then he was like, that's a question for the federal government. And I was like, okay, not a great start. And then he goes, let me just get something clear right now. All right? And then the mic cuts out completely. It's like, I just want to say to y'all, that's all I gotta say. This is incredible, Incredible. I don't know. I would love to see Eric Adams go to Rikers. I mean, particularly because of the terrible job he's done with Rikers. Just so you know, Rikers is a horrific place. It's been compared to Guantanamo Bay. Mainly because most of the people in Rikers, around 85%, have not been convicted of a crime. They just cannot afford to get off Rikers. They can't afford to pay bail and stuff like that. But they sit there until the trial, and the trial is sometimes 8 months away, 9 months away. So they're potentially innocent people just sitting there, rotting in a jail in terrible conditions because they just didn't have money. Any one of us could not have money. Most of us don't have enough money for the things we would like. So that's how close we are to being them. You know? And it's so bad that there's a federal monitor that's like over Rikers. And Eric Adams has worked with Rikers to subvert everything that would have them comply with the federal monitor. Right? It's horrific. And all they've really done is like try to throw money and staffing at the problem, but then money and staffing have become the problem because now Rikers is such a cushy job that there are a lot of people who don't show up for work. So now they really are wasting money because they'll be understaffed on a day where everyone is scheduled and then everyone calls in sick. And then people die at Rikers. People die every year at Rikers. You know? It's absolutely insane. And the staffing, if I'm correct, maybe I'm wrong, right? But last time I looked it up, the staffing was like 2 to 1. No jail has 2 to 1. No jail anywhere has 2 to 1, you know? And so what a poetic thing it would be, you know, for the guy that a year ago gave the key to the city to Diddy. To also be like indicted and charged and sitting in Rikers. Rikers it'd be dope to see Eric Adams at Rikers. They just, he gets there and they're like, "What's up, buddy?" "Let's talk." Oh. And so many people have resigned too. So many people have resigned from Eric Adams' administration that I don't know who works at New York anymore. It's a lot of people. People nobody was talking to, by the way. Like people who just are like, I'm just in charge of the library, but I'm gonna go because the block is hot. I don't want these problems.
Mira,